The beginning of the end for the Iconians. It all started with a cold, calculating smile from Primus, the High Counselor of the Iconian species, as he watched the human diplomat, Chris Adams, fall lifeless to the ground. Chris had been the Earth Alliance's final attempt at peace with the Iconians, but the alien leaders weren't interested in peace. No, they were too blinded by their arrogance and superiority. In their eyes, the human colonies were nothing more than an insignificant blip in the galaxy, unworthy of their time or consideration. They had already made up their minds. They would take what they wanted, and nothing could stop them. But they had no idea what they had just done. Chris slumped forward onto the polished obsidian table, his body heavy with the weight of the final moments of his life. The red stain from his blood slowly spread across the smooth surface, marking the place where humanity's last hope had been extinguished. To the Iconians, it was just another victory, another human snuffed out like a candle in the dark. They had no clue that in doing so, they had ignited a firestorm they could never contain. The Iconian High Council erupted in quiet chatter. Their species was technologically superior, their fleet unmatched. Surely, they thought, humanity would buckle under their overwhelming strength. They had made their demands clear. The human colonies would surrender or face total annihilation. The Earth Alliance had refused to back down. And now, with Chris Adams dead, the Iconians believed they had won the war before it even began. But there was something the Iconians failed to understand. They had never truly understood the nature of humanity, its drive, its resilience, and its unyielding determination. Humans weren't like the other species they had conquered. They were not soft or easily intimidated. Humanity, despite its seemingly small numbers, was a force unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, and they had just awoken the sleeping giant. The death of Chris Adams was no simple murder. It was the catalyst for a storm that would sweep across the galaxy. No one could have predicted what would come next, least of all the Iconians. News of Chris's execution spread like wildfire across Earth. The footage was broadcast on every news channel, shared endlessly across social media platforms, sparking outrage and fury from every corner of the globe. The people of Earth demanded justice. They demanded revenge. Chris Adams had been a diplomat, a symbol of hope for a peaceful future, and now he was dead. His sacrifice would not be in vain. The president of the Earth Alliance, Jonathan Michaels, knew that the time for diplomatic negotiations had passed. The death of Chris Adams was a declaration of war, and there was only one response: retaliation. Michaels convened an emergency meeting with the top military officials of the Earth Alliance. His face was grim as he stood at the podium, preparing to address the nation. "My fellow citizens," he began, his voice steady but filled with a burning determination. The death of our diplomat, Chris Adams, was not just the loss of one man. It is the loss of our dignity, our honor, and our future. The Iconians have made a grave mistake, and they will pay for it. As Michael spoke, military strategists and officers around him were already at work, formulating plans for the human response. The Earth Alliance had long maintained a powerful military, but its true strength had always been hidden from the galaxy's view. Now that strength would be unleashed. The Iconians had crossed a line they would never be able to undo. Chris's death had been the tipping point. It wasn't just an act of murder. It was a declaration of war that would rattle the foundations of the Iconian Empire. The Earth Alliance had been quietly preparing for a conflict like this, just in case the worst happened. The time had come to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Across the Earth, citizens watched as their president delivered his speech. Tears welled in the eyes of many as they heard of Chris's death. But there was something else, something in the air. It was the beginning of something new, something that had been brewing for years. The people of Earth, united by their grief and their anger, now stood together with a single purpose: to make the Iconians pay. The first response from the Earth Alliance was swift and calculated. Massive warships, hidden in the depths of space, were called to action. The fleet of humanity's finest soldiers, and most advanced weapons began to mobilize. Thousands of troops were readied for combat, and the military forces were given orders to attack. The Iconians had thought they could crush humanity with their superior firepower, but they had underestimated the humans' resolve. The war, which had seemed inevitable for so long, was now reality. The humans were ready to fight, and the Iconians would soon learn the harsh lesson that they had awoken a force they could never control. But the Earth Alliance's plan wasn't just about brute force. It was about ingenuity, adaptability, and a relentless drive to survive. The humans would use everything at their disposal. The wars they had fought on Earth, against each other, against the harshest environments, against everything that had tried to extinguish them, had shaped them into something formidable. The Iconians had no idea what they were about to face. For now, the humans had the advantage of surprise, and they would use it to its fullest. The Iconians had killed Chris Adams, but what they didn't know was that they had only strengthened humanity's resolve. They had given birth to a war machine unlike any other, one fueled by the fury of a species that had nothing left to lose. The stage was set for an epic showdown, a clash between two species, one arrogantly confident in their superiority, the other determined to prove they had made a terrible mistake. And as the first shots were fired, the Iconians would soon regret ever underestimating the humans they had just killed. The end of their empire had already begun, and the Earth Alliance was just getting started. Humanity strikes back. The Iconians were ready for war. Their mighty fleet had been deployed, and their technological superiority had given them confidence. They believed that with their vast resources, advanced weapons, and strategic intelligence, they could wipe out the Earth Alliance with minimal resistance. But the Iconians had no understanding of the depths of human resilience, ingenuity, or the fire that burned in the hearts of every single human who stood against them. On Earth, the response was nothing short of overwhelming. In the wake of Chris Adams' brutal murder, humanity's anger had transformed into action. A vast network of military alliances, once dormant, now roared to life. The Earth Alliance was united like never before, its forces prepared to avenge Chris and protect their homeworlds at all costs. The human military was formidable, yet it was not simply their strength that the Iconians would come to fear. It was the strategic brilliance of the Earth's commanders, the adaptability of their forces, and their unwavering drive to outsmart their enemies. They had been preparing for this moment for decades, and the time had finally come to unleash their hidden potential. The Earth Alliance's first move was a tactical strike that would leave the Iconians reeling. The human fleet, still largely hidden in deep space, began to emerge from its secretive locations. Massive warships, each one equipped with the latest in human technology, powered up their engines and set course for Iconian territory. The plan was simple: attack swiftly, with precision, and leave the Iconians with no time to react. But the humans had another advantage. Their intelligence networks were some of the best in the galaxy. They knew the Iconian fleet's movements before the aliens even realized it. Every step the Iconians took, the humans were already one step ahead. This intelligence would be their greatest weapon. General Lena West, a seasoned commander of the Earth Alliance's Central Command, stood before a holographic map of the Iconian Empire. Her face, hardened by years of warfare, was a testament to the power of human resolve. She was part of a new breed of leaders, a generation forged in the fires of past wars, each one a symbol of humanity's strength. "We strike at their weak points," General West instructed her officers, her voice calm but filled with determination. "The Iconians think they are invincible, but they've made a critical mistake. They believe their fleet is unstoppable. Let's prove them wrong." West had studied the Iconians for years. She knew their tactics, their weaknesses, and most importantly, their pride. The Iconians had an overwhelming sense of superiority, and it was this arrogance that would be their undoing. The humans, on the other hand, had learned to fight with ingenuity, using methods their enemies would never anticipate. The first wave of attacks came swiftly. Human warships cloaked in stealth technology descended upon an Iconian outpost, unleashing a devastating barrage of missiles that tore through the base's defenses. The Iconians had no time to prepare, no way to defend themselves. Within hours, the outpost was reduced to rubble, and the humans had taken control of a vital supply route. The shock of the attack spread quickly throughout the Iconian fleet. Their commanders, once confident in their superiority, were now scrambling to regroup. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. The Iconians had expected a quick victory, but instead, they found themselves fighting a battle of survival. As the humans advanced, they made it clear that no corner of the galaxy was safe from their reach. The Earth Alliance's warships launched coordinated strikes against Iconian installations, disabling their communications, disrupting supply lines, and sabotaging their key resources. The Iconians were losing ground, and they had no idea how to stop the human advance. Despite their technological advantage, the Iconians were no match for the humans' adaptability. Where the aliens had brute force, the humans had cunning. Where the Iconians relied on overwhelming firepower, the humans relied on strategy. The Earth Alliance was hitting them where it hurt, using tactics that even the most advanced AI systems in the galaxy couldn't predict. But the humans weren't just winning battles, they were sending a message. The Iconians had crossed a line, and now humanity was going to make them regret it. The brutal murder of Chris Adams had ignited something in the hearts of every person on Earth. It wasn't just revenge they sought, it was a fight for their very survival. The Iconians, in their arrogance, had thought the humans were weak. They believed they could crush the Earth Alliance with ease, but what they didn't understand was that humans had something that no other species could match: the will to survive, no matter the cost. The more the Iconians pushed, the more humanity pushed back. Back on Earth, the people watched with bated breath as the war raged on. News outlets broadcast footage of human victories, their spirits soaring with each new victory. The world had come together in a way that had never been seen before. People from every corner of the Earth, soldiers, civilians, engineers, and scientists, were united in their determination to protect their home. And they were proving that humanity, when united, was an unstoppable force. The Earth Alliance's secret weapon, however, was not just its military might. The humans were drawing on every resource available to them. Scientists and engineers, once focused on peaceful advancements, now turned their skills to creating weapons, armor, and systems that could help in the fight against the Iconians. The humans had a relentless drive to innovate and adapt, constantly outsmarting their enemies. General West, as cold and methodical as ever, knew that the war was far from over. The Iconians were not easily defeated, and they would fight with everything they had. But the humans had one thing the Iconians would never have: the ability to learn from their mistakes, to adapt, and to rise above their challenges. The Iconians had underestimated them, and now they were going to pay the price. In the coming weeks, the Earth Alliance's war machine would continue to roll forward, relentless and unyielding. The Iconians were about to face the full force of human ingenuity, a force they could never have prepared for. The battle for the galaxy was only just beginning, and the Earth Alliance would stop at nothing to ensure that humanity's strength would be felt across the stars. And as each day passed, the Iconians would come to realize the terrible truth. They had made the mistake of underestimating humanity, and now they would face the consequences. The Earth Alliance was no longer just a peaceful entity. It was a force of nature, and the Iconians would soon feel the full weight of their mistake. A turning point in the war. As the war with the Iconians raged on, humanity's resolve only grew stronger. The initial shock of Chris Adams' death had given way to a burning desire for justice, but it was now something deeper, something far more dangerous for the Iconians. Humans had always been capable of great acts of destruction, but what truly set them apart was their incredible ability to innovate, to evolve in the face of overwhelming odds. The Iconians, for all their technological superiority, had failed to grasp the most important lesson they could have learned. Never underestimate the ingenuity and relentless spirit of mankind. The Earth Alliance's forces, although initially smaller and less advanced compared to the Iconian fleet, had gained invaluable experience. Every battle, every skirmish, had been an opportunity for the humans to refine their tactics, to build new weapons, and to perfect strategies. The Iconians, on the other hand, found themselves repeatedly caught off guard by the humans' creativity. What the aliens didn't know was that the Earth Alliance had a secret weapon, a weapon that no one had expected. The Alliance had been quietly working on the development of a new kind of weapon, one that would shift the balance of power in their favor. It wasn't just a piece of military hardware. It was a symbol of human resilience, the embodiment of everything that made humans formidable. Their ability to adapt, to overcome, and to outthink their enemies. The humans called it Project Phoenix, a massive warship unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Standing at over a kilometer in length, the Phoenix was a marvel of human engineering. It combined advanced stealth technology, state-of-the-art weaponry, and an artificial intelligence system that was capable of adapting to any combat situation in real time. But its true power lay in its ability to turn the tide of the war with a single strike. Unlike anything the Iconians had ever encountered, the Phoenix's weapon systems were designed to disable rather than destroy, a move meant to neutralize the Iconian fleet's overwhelming technological advantage. For the first time, humanity had something that could tip the scales in their favor. When the Phoenix was ready, it was deployed into the heart of Iconian space. The humans knew that this would be the most dangerous mission yet. The Iconian fleet had regrouped, bringing in reinforcements from across the galaxy, confident that they could wipe out any remaining human resistance. They were wrong. As the Phoenix entered the Iconian sector, its stealth systems made it invisible to the enemy fleet's sensors. It moved silently through the dark expanse of space, its massive frame casting only a faint shadow. The crew of the Phoenix, composed of the best soldiers and engineers Earth had to offer, prepared for the greatest strike in humanity's history. General Lena West, overseeing the operation, spoke with unwavering determination. "This is our chance to show them that we're not to be underestimated," she said, her voice cold but resolute. "We strike fast, we strike hard, and we leave them with no way to retaliate." The Phoenix's first target was a massive Iconian dreadnought. The Oberon, a ship nearly 5 times the size of the largest human warship. Armed with the most advanced weaponry the Iconians had, it was the perfect symbol of their arrogance. The Phoenix's crew launched a series of targeted electromagnetic pulses, temporarily disabling the ship's systems without causing any permanent damage. The Oberon was left drifting, its once mighty weapons useless, its crew in disarray. In the confusion, the Phoenix launched its next strike, targeting the heart of the Iconian fleet. With pinpoint precision, it disabled several key command ships, rendering them helpless. For the first time in the war, the Iconians were losing control of the battlefield. The Phoenix's AI, capable of learning from every move the enemy made, began adapting to the Iconian fleet's counterattacks in real time. Every missile, every laser blast, was anticipated before it could even be fired. The humans were now able to stay one step ahead of their enemies, and the Iconians were caught in a desperate scramble to regain control. The Iconians had thought they were untouchable, but they were now facing the full might of humanity's resourcefulness. The Iconians were not accustomed to this kind of warfare, where every move was calculated, every strike deliberate. In their previous encounters with other species, brute force and overwhelming numbers had been enough to secure victory. But the humans had no intention of fighting like the others. They were fighting for their survival, for their families, for their future. They were fighting for something more than mere victory. They were fighting for justice. News of the Phoenix's success spread quickly through both the Earth Alliance and the Iconian ranks. On Earth, the morale of the people skyrocketed. The Phoenix was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience. The people of Earth now knew that their victory was within reach. If the Phoenix could defeat such a powerful force as the Iconians, then surely the Earth Alliance could defeat them all. Meanwhile, in the Iconian High Council chambers, panic began to spread. The Oberon had been a symbol of their strength, and now it was nothing more than a floating husk. The once confident High Counselors could no longer hide their fear. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they were starting to realize the full scope of their mistake. Primus, the High Counselor who had once smiled as he watched Chris Adams die, paced angrily in his private chamber. His thoughts raced as he considered their next move. "The humans are clever," he muttered to himself. "Too clever. We underestimated them. But we cannot let this continue. The Earth must fall, no matter the cost." However, the more Primus thought about the Phoenix, the more he realized the true danger it represented. The humans had something that no other species had ever truly grasped: the ability to evolve under pressure, to adapt, and to learn from their mistakes. The Iconians had been blind to this strength, and now they were paying the price. With the loss of several key ships and the continuous pressure from the Phoenix, the Iconian fleet began to fracture. The once proud empire was starting to show signs of collapse. But the humans knew this was only the beginning. They had struck a significant blow, but the war was far from over. As the Phoenix sailed through the stars, the crew knew one thing above all else. They had proven that humanity could stand against even the greatest powers in the galaxy. And they would continue to fight, until the Iconians learned the true cost of underestimating humanity. The war was far from won, but the humans had taken the first step in turning the tide. And with every battle, every victory, they were reminding the galaxy of one simple truth: humanity would never back down. Not when their homes, their families, and their future were at stake. As the Iconians reeled from their losses, they could not help but wonder, how had they let this happen? How had they allowed a species they once thought weak to become the greatest threat to their empire? They were about to find out that this was only the beginning of their downfall.